Hello, this is Joyce Martin. I'm here with GHO, Lee Wang, Mary Maron, and Patricia Cruz to discuss Chapter 12 of Real World Evaluation, Qualitative Evaluation Methods. Interpretivism is often referred to as qualitative methodology, where it partners with quantitative methods in collecting data for mixed method designs. This type of data is text-based rather than numeric, and the results are gathered from interviews, observations, and analysis from different perspectives. As you can see, there are a variety of qualitative research studies. Even though they use similar data collecting techniques, the purpose of their study differentiates them. Ethnography studies the culture of a group or society. Critical ethnography focuses on the effects of power structures for the purpose of exposing and assisting the oppressed. Feminist research focuses on the effects of power structures that suppress women and those indirectly associated by default. Ethomethodology study of how humans maintain social structure. Femnoenology is to understand people's perception and experiences through an event or situation that is being examined. Naturalistic case study, studying a case in a natural setting using the simplest terms for the least amount of error through misunderstanding. Participant observation, observes participants in activities and records what is observed. Hermeneutics is the method of interpreting problems that arise from human actions and the results of those actions. Qualitative methodology, EMIC and ETIC. EMIC and ETIC are two different ways of researching human beings. EMIC researches a participant's words and perspectives as a starting point. It generates from within the social group and is considered insider or bottom-up approach. ETIC researches concepts and ideas and is considered outsider or top-bottom approach. Just remember this. If the text is developed from data or participants' words, it's called EMIC. If it's developed from research or literature, it's ETIC. Paradigm. To perceive, understand, interpret the world through a set of beliefs. Mixed methods involves research in collecting, analyzing, and then integrating quantitative data. Triangulation observes from multiple perspectives rather than looking from a singular one. Stakeholders and narratives in neutralistic inquiry. The narrative is the qualitative inquiry study of the program as it is perceived and created by those who experience it. The stakeholders are those who engage in the research program activity that create the qualitative neutralistic evaluation. The neutralistic inquiry involves time and data collection, unobstructed with minimal interference. Contextuality. Qualitative inquiry is contextual. It's a research method to understand what people do and why they do it. Examples of contextuality are macrosystem, which is cultural in context, ecosystem, which is environmental, mesosystem, which is the conversion of two cultures or two macro systems, and microsystem, close relationships to a person.
Emergent design includes data collection and analyzing procedures that can evolve. You must be open to adjustments, and you might have plan A, but it can steer off to plan B or plan C. So if research questions and goals change, you have to be able to use that new information um, and create a new research design accordingly. Progressive focusing and constant comparative method. Progressive focusing is a process in which qualitative analyst interacts with data and gradually refines the focus. It also requires that researchers be well acquainted with the complexities of the problem before going into the field, but not too committed to a study plan. Constant comparative method is a method that uses newly collected data and is compared with previous data that was controlled in one or more earlier studies. Holistic approach is taking a look at the overall view. Things should be studied as a whole and not just as a sum of their parts. For example, healthcare that focuses on the healthcare of the entire body and mind and not just parts of the body. Expansion. This is using different methods to address different parts of the phenomenon so you can get a better understanding. Also, utility. It's really important to use the evaluation results, and sometimes hard. So it's really important for the evaluator to help the clients understand how the results can be used. Mixed method designs. It's no surprise that qualitative evaluators are skeptical about the quantitative methods. However, as evaluators, we need to understand that there are limitations of each methodology, and we need to realize that when we use mixed method designs, it can help compensate for the weakness of the other. By combining them, it offers what is sometimes called binocular vision. So when we use the combination, the quantitative data can provide breadth of understanding while qualitative data can provide depth. So we need to keep calm and use mixed methods. Qualitative data collection methods. It's important for qualitative evaluators um, to be flexible, making adjustments as appropriate. Some of the methods that we use would be observation, interview, and review of documents. Qualitative data collection begins with observation. It can help us identify themes, patterns, and issues. It's usually written by hand, and it's really important for the evaluator to write the narrative right after they're done taking the notes. So they don't miss any detail of the analysis for their narrative. Also, photography, videography, laptops, audio tape recorders are also helpful, although they do have their limitations. Photography and videography are good visual means of recording observation data, but it can cause anxiety and nervousness that can interfere with naturalness. So it can bring about inaccuracies into the data set. Also, cultural competence is increasingly recognized, and in unfamiliar contexts, qualitative evaluators may need to rely on key local informants or translators to include local personnel as members on the evaluation team. And it's helpful to understand the importance of local customs, values, and norms. Participant observation. We can differentiate types of observation by the role of the observer. Is the observer an external observer, program participant, or participant observer? The most difficult will be participant observer because it will be hard to simultaneously participate and observe at the same time while taking detailed notes. Another way to differentiate types of observation is by the degree of structure involved. Is it structured or unstructured? There is an example on page 282 in figure 12.3 of this structured observation. The structured observation protocols may be used to document specific program aspects. For example, specific types of activities may need to be counted to show the proportions of certain specified procedures or behaviors. Unstructured observation avoids instrumental misdirection of attention based on categories decided in advance and indicated on observation protocols. So there's more room for change and because there's no categories that were decided in advance.
Interviews are used to obtain information from the stakeholders' experiences and perceptions. The information obtained from interviews and observations can provide an explanation to why participants act the way they do. Interviews are characterized in three categories: structured, semi structured, and unstructured. In a structured interview, the same questions are asked to every participant in the same order. In a semi structured interview, the interviewer has key questions that he may ask in varying order. And finally, the unstructured interview, there are no structured interview guide. What type of questions should you ask in a qualitative interview? An interviewer should ask questions that require an explanation. Also, the interviewer should avoid using leading questions. For example, a question you should not ask would be, how good was your treatment you received at the hospital? Instead, the interviewer should ask, how do you feel about the treatment you received at the hospital? Also, questions should be tailored to specific groups. For example, if an interviewer is interviewing teachers and students about a school program, the interviewer should have a set of questions for teachers and a set of questions specifically for students. Focus groups are used to obtain information in a short period of time. The use of focus groups has positives and negatives. On the positive side, the participants in a focus group can respond to each other, allowing the interviewer to deepen the discussion. On the negative side, it may be a little difficult to manage and arrange a group, and the interviewer must also remain in control without losing the rapport he or she has with the focus group. Another issue that um, may occur is when one or a few members of the group take control of most of the conversation, which will limit the participation of the group as a whole. Focus groups are used to obtain information in a short period of time. The use of focus groups has positives and negatives. On the positive side, the participants in a focus group can respond to each other, allowing the interviewer to deepen the discussion. On the negative side, it may be difficult to manage and arrange a focus group, and the interviewer must also remain in control without losing the rapport with the participants. Some of the participants may find it difficult to open up um, in a group setting versus on a one on one interview. And another issue that may arise is when one of the participants or a few of them control most of the group discussion, preventing others from speaking, which in turn limits the information that is trying to be obtained from a group setting. Hybrid qualitative data collection methods. There's video stimulated interviews, think aloud interviews, art based research methods, and interview by electronic mail. In video stimulated interviews, a montage video is played to stimulate a discussion and provide different perspectives on a subject. Think aloud interviews require that the subject express his thoughts while conducting a task. These type of entries provide an understanding on the participant's reasoning skills. In art-based research, participants may be asked to draw, select a picture, or mold clay to express his or her feelings toward a program. For example, a person may be asked to sing a song that expresses his working relationships. And lastly, interview by electronic mail. That's used when face to face interviews are not available, and the use of telephone and email can be useful.
As our friend Mark here suggests, qualitative research takes time. Quality data collection. When we say quality, we mean quality as fitness for purpose. It's more important that we take approaches towards quality than to follow a strict set of rules. This is more of a meaning and discovery unique approach. Quality in qualitative data collection. Qualitative research methods, if properly applied, are designed to guarantee that the same data and methods give the same conclusions and that the results can be independently verified or reproduced, thus validity and reliability. Practices that help ensure quality. These research methods cannot, however, guarantee your assumptions are correct, that your research methods are adequate, or that your interpretations are correct. This is why we take steps to ensure quality. Triangulation, validation, peer review, and meta-evaluations can help. Data and political constraints. This type of research is sensitive and personal, so it can become uncomfortable for everyone if we're not careful. The use of translators can help. Using a comfortable setting and always being respectful would allow for a smoother process. Time and budget constraints. Qualitative work is expensive. These strategies can cut cost. Get informed beforehand. Know the mission, the budget, the staff, and the purpose of it all. Use assistants and utilize them well.
The quality data is difficult to explain there due to there is no numbers to calculate or to do the statistical analysis. Therefore, it is important to understand how to interpret the data which was collected from interviews, observations, or documentation. There are two kinds of approaches for the qualitative interpretation. One is called deductive approach, which is using the research questions to group the data and looking for the similarities and differences. For example, we are assuming that DUI checkpoints will decrease the death due to DUI, and we do the research and we confirmed that our theory is true. In contrast, inductive approach is using framework to group the data, then looking for relationship. For example, we collect all the car accident data. We group the data by categories, and then we try to find a relationship between them. Thematic context analysis is one of the most common forms of analysis in qualitative research. A theme is generated by similar issues and ideas. The theme may be labeled by a word. The researchers review the data, group the data by themes, identify themes co-occurrency, and display relationship between different themes. The next method is constant comparative method, which is an ongoing process. It constantly compares the data and justifies the relationship between data. Theoretical triangulation is examining the program through different perspectives and considering all the possibility to reveal different aspects about the research. Criteriality can be used to evaluate a program to determine that if the program met the pre-existed standard or criteria. During the program evaluation, the evaluator also can suggest to add certain criteria or performance measurements to the program. Time constraints is one of the issues for the data analysis. However, there are strategies that can be helpful. One is ongoing analysis, such as the constant comparative method. It can save the time by doing the ongoing data collecting, analyzing, and interpreting. The other way is using the report and the response forms simultaneously collect, analyze, and interpret to save the time.